Dominus Cinephile.
Welcome to my movie and TV series reviews, where I will provide honest opinions of the latest releases. If the movie or TV series is a hit or a miss, be sure to know I will inform you. But if the movie or series is trash, be also sure to know that I will trash the hell out of the movie. I am Dominus Cinephile.
And the movie on the review table today is the Nollywood film Miss PJ. Miss PJ is a 2024 Nollywood mystery drama written, produced and directed by James Abinibi. The film features an impressive ensemble cast of renowned Nigerian actors, including Bimbo Ademoye, Sola Sobowale, Charles Okocha, Ibrahim Chatta, Rachel Okonkwo, Chris Iheuwa, Sani Danja, Kiitan Bukola, Jumoke Ajadi, and Kunle Afolayan. The movie premiered on Amazon Prime on November 15, 2024. Miss PJ tells the gripping story of Patience, an NYSC National Youth Service Corps member assigned to Otitodan Grammar School in a remote village near Ibadan. What starts as a routine teaching assignment takes a dark and sinister turn when a young girl is found dead under brutal and mysterious circumstances. The unsettling pattern of girls dying in the village continues, shrouded in secrecy, as no one seems to understand or confront the source of the tragedy. Patience, determined to make a difference, begins encouraging the girls to embrace education and envision brighter futures. However, her efforts are met with challenges as a chilling force continues to claim the lives of the village's young girls, particularly those from the school. Driven by a fierce resolve to protect her students, Patience embarks on a dangerous journey to uncover the truth. Little does she know, the malevolent force responsible for the horrors is closer than she could ever imagine, threatening not just the girls' lives but her own as well. Great synopsis, right? But does the full movie deliver on its promise? Or is it another forgettable entry in Nollywood's offerings this year? Let's dive into this review to uncover whether Miss PJ lives up to the intrigue of its synopsis or surpasses the expectations set by Nollywood in 2024. Before we proceed, I owe you an apology for not posting my review of the Hollywood TV series Cross as scheduled. The truth is, I did upload the review a few days ago, but it was flagged for copyright violations because I included images from the Alex Cross novels. The good news? YouTube didn't penalize my channel with a strike, so all is well. I simply had to remove the video from my channel. To all my subscribers who emailed me with concerns about my channel, thank you. Your support means the world to me, and I'm happy to assure you that everything is running smoothly. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the review of the day. The movie opens with Bimbo Ademoye's character arriving in a village during what is supposed to be a festival. However, the glaringly sparse crowd, barely 40 people, immediately raises questions about the scene's purpose. Why include a festival that looks so poorly attended? The only significant takeaway from this opening is Sola Sobowale's character welcoming Miss PJ, a moment that could have been handled differently without the unnecessary pretense of a festival. From there, the movie transitions into its central theme, with Miss PJ witnessing the tragic death of a young girl, accompanied by the heart-wrenching wails of the girl's mother and other women. At this point, you might expect the story to take off, delivering a gripping and fast-paced narrative. Unfortunately, the movie stumbles. Instead of building momentum, it drags at a frustratingly slow pace. The plot becomes a tangled mess as the director, who also wrote the script, tries to cram too many themes into one film. This lack of focus turns what could have been a compelling mystery into a sluggish, uninspired slog with little intrigue or suspense to keep the audience engaged. This movie is an uncoordinated mess, riddled with missed opportunities that are impossible to ignore. From its weak storyline to its lackluster execution and subpar acting, Miss PJ is yet another disappointing entry in Nollywood's long list of underwhelming productions. The film attempts to delve into themes of corruption, sacrifice, and ambition, as seen through the eyes of a youth corps member in a rural village. However, the narrative fails miserably to deliver. The story ostensibly sets out to contrast Miss PJ's resolve to protect her students with the moral decay of the village, but what unfolds is a chaotic jumble of incoherent storytelling that lacks focus and depth. Key themes are poorly developed, drowned in heavy-handed exposition and over-the-top monologues that substitute for meaningful interactions or nuanced storytelling. Rather than letting the audience experience the story organically, the film bombards them with clunky dialogue and unimaginative scenes. It's painfully clear that the director had no clear vision for how to handle the material, leaving the movie feeling directionless and hollow. What could have been a thought-provoking exploration of societal ills and personal resolve devolves into a chaotic narrative disaster, further cementing its place among Nollywood's most disappointing efforts. The decision to use a narrator in this movie was baffling and ultimately detrimental. The narrative approach was riddled with inconsistency and outright absurdity, oscillating awkwardly between a first-person narrator and a third-person perspective centered on Miss PJ's life in the village. This jarring shift creates a narrative disconnect that leaves the audience confused and frustrated. Why introduce the story through a narrator's voice only to abandon that perspective in favor of Miss PJ's point of view? It's an incoherent choice that serves no purpose other than to highlight the director's lack of narrative clarity. The resulting disarray undermines any attempt to establish a cohesive storytelling style or a meaningful connection to the audience. This muddled approach severely weakens the impact of the film's themes, making it difficult to take the story seriously. Instead of immersing viewers in the unfolding drama, the constant back and forth in narrative focus disrupts the flow and robs the movie of emotional depth. The lack of cohesion in storytelling turns what could have been a compelling narrative into a frustrating mess, further dragging the film into mediocrity. Now let's examine the performances of the cast to determine if they managed to salvage this already sinking ship of a movie. There's a popular saying in filmmaking, a great script lays the foundation, but a strong actor's performance serves as the backbone, transforming mere words into emotions and scenes into unforgettable experiences. Unfortunately, when it comes to Miss PJ, the question remains, did the cast rise to the challenge and deliver a performance worth remembering? Or did their efforts crumble under the weight of a flawed script? Let's find out. Bimbo Ademoye's portrayal of Miss PJ, the central character in this movie, falls disappointingly short of expectations. Her performance lacks the depth and authenticity required to bring the character to life. One glaring flaw is her struggle with linguistic accuracy, which severely undermines the believability of her role. While playing an Igbo character, her dialogue delivery is riddled with Yoruba English literal translations and mispronunciations that betray her efforts. This lack of attention to the nuances of Igbo language and culture makes her performance feel shallow and unconvincing. What's even more baffling is the inconsistency in how her character communicates. Miss PJ interacts with her students, who are portrayed as struggling with basic English comprehension, in polished English diction, creating a jarring disconnect that feels completely unrealistic. Ademoye's portrayal lacks the soul and depth necessary to make the audience believe in her character. Instead of embodying an Igbo woman, she comes across as a Yoruba individual, awkwardly pretending not to be Yoruba, making her performance a missed opportunity for true character immersion. Sola Sobowale takes on the role of Mrs. Adeyemi, the school principal in this movie, but her performance is utterly underwhelming. There is nothing remotely impressive or memorable about her portrayal, leaving her presence in the film feeling redundant. Sobowale's casting immediately telegraphs her as a villain, a predictable choice that lacks creativity and originality. This typecasting has followed her since her performance in King of Boys, making it seem as though she's simply replaying the same character in different settings. Her acting relies heavily on over-the-top theatrics, with excessive shouting and dramatic monologues that have become a tired trope in Nollywood. Rather than delivering a nuanced performance befitting a thriller, Sobowale turns pivotal scenes into exaggerated stage drama, robbing the film of any real tension or cinematic weight. Her final scenes, which should have been climactic, devolve into chaotic melodrama, making her character feel completely out of place in a movie that was meant to evoke suspense and intrigue. This lack of versatility highlights how poorly her talents were utilized and contributes to the movie's overall failure. Iheuwa plays Mr. Adeyemi, the supposed antagonist of the movie, but his performance is woefully underwhelming and devoid of any meaningful impact. He fails to bring the necessary menace or complexity to the role, leaving the character feeling flat and uninspired. Simply put, his portrayal is utterly irrelevant and adds nothing significant to the narrative. One glaring issue is the lack of any substantial backstory for his character. The audience is left in the dark about why he aspires to become the king of the village, which strips the character of motivation and makes his actions seem arbitrary. Like Sola Sobowale, Iheuwa's performance is emotionally barren, lacking the intensity needed to make the audience invest in his role as a villain. His delivery of monologues is particularly lackluster, coming off as feeble and unpersuasive. Rather than heightening the tension or driving the story forward, his performance diminishes the stakes and contributes to the overall mediocrity of the movie. It's a missed opportunity to craft a compelling antagonist, and his lack of presence drags the film down further into its already sinking pit of disappointment. The rest of the cast did absolutely nothing to salvage this already doomed movie. Many of the characters felt like unnecessary fillers, adding no value whatsoever to the story. Charles Okocha's character was laughably irrelevant, while Kunle Afolayan's role was reduced to little more than a series of uninspired, monotonous talking heads. His performance was bland, lifeless, and utterly forgettable, contributing nothing meaningful to the movie's already thin narrative. Beyond the weak and insufferably lackluster performances, the movie suffers greatly from its abysmal cinematography and direction. The visuals fail to captivate or enhance the storytelling in any way. The repetitive and amateurish use of establishment shots, such as chickens and goats, comes across as lazy and uninspired. Instead of adding depth or atmosphere, these shots only highlight the lack of creativity and attention to detail. The camera work itself is painfully unremarkable, with uninventive angles and poorly executed scenes that scream amateur hour. To make matters worse, the final editing appears rushed and shoddy, further diminishing the film's already minimal production quality. As if the visual mediocrity wasn't enough, the sound and lighting are equally atrocious. The ambient sound effects, seemingly added in a desperate attempt to mask the film's flaws, are more distracting than immersive. The lighting during night scenes, particularly those set in the bush or forest, is so poorly executed that it borders on unwatchable. The dim, uneven illumination robs the scenes of any tension or mood, making them feel like an outdated, low-budget episode of Tales by Moonlight from the 1980s on NTA. The entire viewing experience is a frustrating exercise in enduring mediocrity, leaving the audience with little more than regret for having wasted their time. In summary, Miss PJ, like many Nollywood productions, had the potential to shine but crumbled under the weight of poor execution and lackluster storytelling. The central theme held promise, yet the production choices and narrative approach were its undoing. The director's baffling choice to center the narrative through the voice of Faye, or is it Funker, only exacerbates the film's chaotic inconsistency. The inconsistency in the narrator's name alone reflects the wider disorganization of the movie. Adding to this is the narrative's misplaced focus. Despite being told from the narrator's perspective, the story devotes an overwhelming amount of time to Miss PJ's life, effectively rendering the narrator irrelevant. This fractured storytelling leaves the audience adrift, unsure of which character they are meant to connect with. Furthermore, Miss PJ suffers from lazy writing, weak performances, and a director who clearly lacked vision. The cast brought no spark to their roles, delivering bland and uninspired performances that failed to elevate the already lackluster script. The dialogue was painfully dull, and the cinematography was amateurish at best, reminiscent of footage shot with outdated Nokia N-series phones. Miss PJ stands as a disappointing testament to wasted potential and the need for greater attention to quality in Nollywood productions. And now for my rating. Miss PJ scores a disappointing, well-deserved 2 out of 10. I'm definitely trashing this. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon for notifications. Also, be sure to follow me on TikTok, WhatsApp channel, and Instagram at Domino Cinephile for more movie and TV series reviews. Domino Cinephile, signing out.